Hello again, everybody. This is Ed. Welcome back to another episode of Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. So I wanted to kind of get back, no pun intended, to reviewing another album. This week's album is George Harrison's Brainwashed. So what I'll do first is let's put up a few pictures of what I'm going to show everybody in review. So just give it a moment to pop up, and I'll come right back. Okay, so now that I'm back, just to kind of show again, front cover right there, and the back cover, and of course a little bit of the lyric book right there. Now, with Brainwashed, this was a posthumous release for George. This was released in 2002, November of 2002 to be exact, and about a year after George's passing, or almost a year after George's passing. So in the U.S. charts, what happened was it made it to number 18. In the UK charts, it made it to number 29. It did go gold in the United States, and I'm kind of a little surprised it didn't do a little better charts-wise, only because this is George's last album of all new material. So that kind of did surprise me with the relatively low chart placing versus other past albums of his. Then again, it had been at that point about 15 years since Cloud 9, not counting the Traveling Wilburys that George collaborated with in the 1980s after Cloud 9. And of course, just not counting the other greatest hits compilations out there. I'll get to those in another review. So to begin, we begin with track 1. Any Road is the first track off the CD here. As I'm reviewing. And of course, Any Road, it's kind of a nice beginning. It really flows along nicely and is a great opening track. I like the lyrics. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Kind of very clever little wordplay in this song. This was kind of begun during the Cloud 9 era, circa 1987 or 1988. I think from what I read, George was on the set recording one of his videos for Cloud 9, composed this song. A lot of these he held on to, obviously, till this point. He meant to get to finishing them, but of course, sadly, time ran out for him. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Track number 2, P2 Vatican Blues, last Saturday night. Kind of lots of Catholic imagery, or ex-Catholic imagery in George's case. It's a very bluesy track, kind of a very catchy chorus. 1 Our Father, 3 Hail Marys each Saturday night. Just kind of a lot of imagery that way, I guess, pointing out some of the faults that you might find in certain religions, but kind of a little wry observational humor on George's part. We then go into track number 3. Track number 3 is called Pisces Fish. Pisces Fish, funny enough, George was born in February, so he was considered a Pisces, his astrological sign. Kind of a metaphor for swimming through life from the lyrics when I gave it another listen. There's really some good lyrics in the song. I really even like one of the lyrics in the song goes, I'm living proof of all life's contradictions. One half's going where the other half's just been. This is kind of reminiscent of Paul McCartney's World Tonight lyric, I think. That specific song says, I go back so far, I'm in front of me. So kind of the contradictions that we all have. Again, a little self-reflection on George's part, I think. So really nice song, really good song. We go to track number 4. Track number 4 on the album is a song called Looking for My Life. This seems to be about danger, and I'm going to go maybe into a little more detail on this track. Sadly, a real-life attack happened to both George and Olivia Harrison December of 1999 at his Friar Park home. Make a long story short, a deranged fan ends up stabbing George. If it wasn't for Olivia, George wouldn't have made it even as long as he did. I think the stabbing definitely did some obvious damage to George, and of course it's going to make you feel unsafe rather, in your own home. I mean, Olivia made him feel safe, which is good, but I never understood it. I mean, if you're a fan of somebody, why would you want to hurt a celebrity? I never got that, but again, mental illness, all those type of things go on to play for sure. One of the lyrics, I never knew things exploded. I only found it out when I was down upon my knees. I'm almost positive this is about that particular incident, which again had to be incredibly traumatic for George to have lived through. Sadly, also what happened with John. And I'll take this moment to kind of pause and say, again, we miss George, we miss John. The world is definitely a little colder without them in it. As I sort of missed doing any real tribute videos on the dates of their anniversaries of their passing, respectively. We go to track number 5, which is Rising Sun. This is a great kind of soaring track. This almost sounds like something Bob Dylan might have recorded, to me anyways. One of the lyrics, there's a universe at play inside your DNA. You're a billion years old today. Again, just how definitely everything is interconnected in the universe. Very deep spiritual track. Again, that's kind of George's trademark, if you will. It's been his trademark through his entire career, so just kind of connecting all the cosmic dots. He has probably been the solo Beatle that's been the most open about his spirituality, for lack of a better word. We go to track number 6, which is Marwa Blues. It's an instrumental. It's a very meditative track, which I enjoy. You get a nice little snippet within the song of kind of Within You, Without You, just a nice little instrumental homage to that song. It's definitely got that trademark George Harrison slide guitar sound in here. Really nice, relaxing track to kind of meditate to, relax to. I find it incredibly soothing. It's kind of a good, almost midpoint of the album. Actually, number 6, it is the midpoint of the album, if we're doing the old A-side versus B-side of a vinyl LP. So we get the next track number 7. Now, legend has it that 7 was George's favorite number. So this was picked as the first single off the album. I think it's a really well done song. It's some of the lyrics go, talking to myself, crying out loud. Only I can hear me. I'm stuck inside a cloud. One of the other parts of their lyrics, wish I had the answer to give. I don't even have the cure. Again, it's one of the first singles released. I think he's really seems to be talking about a lot of the treatment he was receiving for his cancer at the time. A lot of chemo, a lot of radiation. I can't imagine what it's like. I'm sure it must be a very disorienting feeling where you're not quite sure. You've got all these chemicals and everything going into your body, hopefully trying to fight this horrible, horrible disease that's affected way too many families. So that's just kind of my take on it, my thoughts on it, as it were, especially listening to it now, after having this album for some 20-some-odd years. Really nice to revisit this album as well. We get track number 8, Run So Far. This was originally on Clapton's 1989 solo album, Journeyman. This was actually given to him by George to record. We kind of hear George's original take on this, so to speak. I don't think this may have been recorded in 1989. I'm not sure when it was recorded, but I would take any of the recording dates to be anywhere from about 1987 all the way up to throughout the 90s, up to maybe the year 2000. There's no real specific dates within the liner notes, so to speak, for the album itself. Just some nice lyrics. Lonely days, blue guitar, there's no escape, can only run so far. Good rhyme scheme there, as it were. Track number 9, Never Get Over You. This is a great track. This actually could have gone on the George Harrison 1979 self-titled solo album. It definitely has that feel to it, which I will get to that album at some point. But again, just a very nice track, wonderful track. Obviously about Olivia Harrison, about his second wife. Some of the lyrics, I know when you arrived that no words could describe what your love made me do. I'll never get over you. So again, just a very much a love song to her. Really nice, really great, wonderfully done track. Very enjoyable. Definitely a highlight. We get to track number 10, which is Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. This is a standard 1931 song written by somebody named Arlen Kohler. Probably a songwriting duo back then. There's a nice count-in on the ukulele that begins the song. Very pleasant song. Again, I think it's the weakest one by default. It's only because it's not a George Harrison original. Even then, very pleasant. It fits the mood of the album. This album is very relaxing in a lot of ways, very reflective, I feel. Kind of with the exception of one track, which is very reflective, but I'm getting to that very shortly. Rocking Chair in Hawaii is the next song, song number 11. Again, cheerful song, nice and mellow. This would have really fit well on Gone Troppo, his 1982 album. So kind of that same ukulele kind of motif going on between the two songs, this song and the previous song. We get to the final title track, Brainwashed. This is obviously the most rocking track on the entire album, and what a finale. I mean, some of the lyrics are amazing, great guitar work. I mean, this track just, it's firing on all cylinders. It's George putting his message out into the universe one of the last times. Some of the lyrics I'm just going to have to read off just to give the effect of it. Brainwashed by our leaders, by our kings and queens, brainwashed in the open and brainwashed behind the scenes. Another set of lyrics. Brainwashed by the Nikkei, brainwashed by Dow Jones, brainwashed by the FTSE, NASDAQ, and secure loans. Another set of lyrics. Brainwashed by computer, brainwashed by mobile phones, brainwashed by the satellite, brainwashed to the bone. That's kind of how he sings it too. Kind of that very, just going through this list of stuff, saying, this isn't maybe all there is. Very deep track, I think. Very enjoyable track. Really has a punch. It really gives a final punch to the album that really just kind of drives it home. Highly recommended track. What a closer. Now, this next song is not on the album, but it is actually on Jools Holland's Big Band Rhythm and Blues. I'm just going to put up a picture of it real quick to show you. So give it 1 second. Okay, now that we're back, I'll show it to you on the camera. This is kind of a collaboration album. It still has the original sticker on it, I know, from where I bought it. I can't remember where I exactly bought it. It must have been a record store somewhere in the Boston area. So the 13th track, what I would consider the 13th track to Brainwashed, if I was to put it on, it is actually track number 2 on the album, Horse to the Water by George Harrison. Again, this is just a great coda on the album. This kind of brings the sentiments of My Sweet Lord from George's 1970 album, All Things Must Pass. It kind of brings everything full circle, and really with George's career as well. This particular song was recorded October 2nd, 2001. George passed November 29th of 2001, so he only had about 8 weeks left, give or take. My understanding is that it was recorded in 2 takes. They really only had about 2 takes to get it for George. He couldn't play any instruments. Sadly, his condition was not good at this point. They just had to get him into a chair, get him comfortable, get him to do his vocal takes. He sings the heck out of it. I mean, you could tell his voice is worn out, but he's still singing with all the passion he did on any one of the tracks on Brainwashed or any other of the tracks that he worked on throughout his career. So again, the very last song that George recorded in his lifetime. This was actually written by George and his son. Some of the lyrics, again, I just got to point it out because I love a lot of the lyrics on both Brainwashed and, of course, on this particular song, the Lost 13th track, as I said. You could take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. Some of the other lyrics. Someone I love got a problem. Some people thirst for truth. He would like a drink. Say, man, this could turn out to be risky. He said, everything's okay as he downed another bottle of whiskey. Again, some good imagery in this track. One of the final verses, if you will. Preacher out there warned me about Satan. Could be that he knows him. He acts like he's possessed. Again, some really good imagery. I said, hey, man, let's hear about God realization for a change. He said, we ain't got time for that. First, you must hear of the evils of fornication. In other words, I think George, again, is just pointing out throughout his career hey, this is all nice, all this stuff around us is nice, but really, pointing out there is something else out there. There is a deeper universal connection. And I'm not meaning this with any specific religion or belief system that anybody out there might have, but just that this is really summing up his career, really summing up what George was about, I think. Not that he was always spiritual 24/7 either. I mean, he enjoyed the material world, as we all do. So just full of contradictions, but in the end, just getting that message out. And again, I think that's why he was the most vocal Beatle about this type of thing, about spirituality, about these style of songs. A really fitting coda. This is an essential album, so I just say pick it up if you don't have it in your collection. This is well worth it. This is among the best of his material. I can't believe the year is going by so fast already. I will have a nice holiday greeting up next week, and hopefully another review as well. I'm looking to do a Ringo review to finish out the year, and I can't wait to see everybody in 2022. This has been a blast so far. Thank you to all the subscribers out there, the new subscribers, the continuing subscribers. Please leave any comments as well. Did you pick this album up when it was first released? Have you got either of these? What's your impressions of the album? What are some of your favorite songs? That I'd love to know. So again, I just wanted to say thank you. And if you could, please just give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, of course. Everybody, please be safe. And again, we'll be back for next week. And then after next week, I'm going to see everybody in 2022. It's only going to get better from here. It's only going to get more reviews, more memorabilia to go through, so I just can't wait. And thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody out there. Be safe, and thank you so much. Bye.